In the first 60 days of 2026, more happened related to biblical prophecy, documented, verified, publicly observable than in entire decades of the 20th century. Not hype, not sensationalism, just data. And today, I'm going to walk you through 7 specific developments, ground them in Scripture, and show you exactly what it means to be watchful without being fearful. Because here's what I want you to understand by the end of this. God gave us prophecy not to terrify us, but to anchor us. Stay with me. Welcome back. Before we go any further, let me be absolutely clear about what this is and what it isn't. This is not a claim that Christ returns in 2026. It's not a prediction that the tribulation begins this year. It's not an identification of any person as the Antichrist, and it's not a declaration that prophecy has been definitively fulfilled. We don't know the day or hour. Scripture is clear about that. What this is an honest examination of 7 specific verifiable developments happening right now. It's an acknowledgement that these developments align with Scripture's prophetic framework. And it's a call to biblical watchfulness, the kind Jesus commanded. If you've been feeling overwhelmed by headlines, if you're tired of sensationalism but still want to understand what's happening, if you want to be informed without being consumed by anxiety, you're in the right place. Jesus told us to discern the signs of the times, so let's do what he asked, calmly, carefully, and with Scripture as our foundation. In Matthew 16, 2-3, Jesus said something pointed to the religious leaders of his day. He said, "When it is evening, you say, 'It will be fair weather, for the sky is red.' And in the morning, 'It will be stormy today, for the sky is red and threatening.' You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times." Jesus expected his followers to pay attention, not to set dates, not to panic, but to recognize patterns, to observe developments, to stay alert. And then, in Matthew 24, 32-33, he gave us a specific instruction. "Now learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these things, know that it is near, at the doors." Notice what Jesus did there. He said, when you see all these things, not one thing, all these things, a convergence. And that word convergence is exactly what makes 2026 different from other years. I'll explain what I mean in just a moment, but first, let me ground us in one more passage. 1 Thessalonians 5, 4-6 says, "But you, brethren, are not in darkness, so that this day should overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We're not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober." 3 commands emerge from these passages. Watch, stay alert, be sober. Not panic, not obsess, not set dates. Watch, stay alert, be sober. With that foundation, let's look at 7 specific developments that are causing thoughtful students of Scripture to pay closer attention to 2026 than they have to any year in recent memory. Development 1. Record Temple Mount visits. In 2025, 76,448 Jews ascended to the Temple Mount, shattering all previous records since Israel captured the mount in 1967. For decades, Jewish prayer on the Temple Mount was severely restricted. Most believed widespread Jewish access would never happen, but that's changing. Why does this matter? Because Scripture speaks of Jerusalem and the Temple Mount as focal points of end times events. Zechariah 12, 2-3 describes Jerusalem becoming a burdensome stone for all nations. Luke 21:24 speaks of Jerusalem being trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. A generation ago, tens of thousands of Jews ascending the Temple Mount annually seemed impossible. Today, it's documented reality. Development 2. Government officials and red heifer preparations. Israel's Minister of Heritage publicly visited red heifers being raised in Shiloh, documented by the Temple Institute itself. Now, let me be careful here. This doesn't mean a ceremony is imminent.
As of August 2025, all 5 heifers brought from Texas were disqualified. The search continues. But here's what's significant. For the first time in modern history, sitting Israeli government officials are publicly associating with temple preparations. A decade ago, that would have been political suicide. Numbers 19 details the red heifer as essential for ritual purification before temple service can resume. For 2,000 years, this was theoretical. Now it's practical, with government awareness. Development 3. Temple Institute at 36 years. The Temple Institute has now operated for over 36 years, more than a generation of sustained preparation. What have they accomplished? Over 60 sacred vessels recreated according to Torah specifications, complete priestly garments crafted, the golden menorah completed and publicly displayed, the high priest's breastplate with 12 precious stones, architectural blueprints finalized, and in 2015, for the first time in 2,000 years, trained priests conducted a Passover offering reenactment according to biblical instructions. This isn't theoretical anymore. This is operational readiness. But here's what most people miss. It's not any single development that makes 2026 significant. It's the convergence. Development 4. Priestly training programs. The Nezer HaKodesh Institute has now trained over 500 men with verified Levitical lineage in actual temple service. They're learning animal sacrifice techniques, sacred vessel handling, proper garment wearing. The generation being trained is younger, more committed, and operating at a time when Israeli religiosity is rising, not declining. Development 5. Political and cultural shifts. For decades, Israel's official government posture toward the Temple Mount was maintain the status quo, don't provoke. But something shifted in 2025 and 2026. Officials are visiting temple preparation sites, speaking publicly about Jewish rights on the Temple Mount, pushing for expanded access. The conversation has shifted from "this is impossible" to "how could this happen?" That's a subtle but real 2026 shift. Development 6. Global awareness. Mainstream media is now covering these developments. Major news outlets feature Temple Institute updates. Christian media publishes regular reports. For most of modern history, these topics were fringe. In 2026, they're discussed openly, seriously, by credible sources worldwide. Development 7. The convergence itself. And this is the point. It's not one thing. It's all 7 happening simultaneously. Same year, same nation, same direction. Record visits, government engagement, decades of temple preparation maturing, priestly training operational, political shifts, red heifer search continuing with urgency, global awareness unprecedented. One observer noted, though precise timing remains in God's hands, the convergence demonstrates that the stage described in biblical prophecy is steadily being set.
Now let's go deeper, because there's a layer to 2026 that many people haven't considered. The Hebrew calendar year that began in September 2025 is 5786, and in prophetic circles, this year carries specific themes based on Hebrew letters in numerology. The year 5786 includes the letter Vav, which means hook or nail. It symbolizes connection, linking heaven and earth. Many interpret this as a year of deepening communion with God, of things being fixed or secured in place. There's also the biblical numerology of 26, the number that 2026 concludes with. In Hebrew gematria, where letters have numerical values, the name of God, Yahweh, adds up to 26. Yod is 10, Hey is 5, Vav is 6, Hey is 5. Total, 26. This connects the number to themes of God's presence, covenant faithfulness, and divine activity in the world. And here's something fascinating. The 26th generation from Adam in Scripture is Moses, the leader who received God's name revealed at the burning bush. the generation associated with revelation and deliverance. Now stay with me here, because this is where it becomes practical. Astronomically, 2026 is also significant. In August 2026, the first total solar eclipse to cross Europe in over 20 years will sweep through Greenland, Iceland, and Spain. In February 2026, a rare six-planet alignment occurs. Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune visible on the same side of the Sun. Now, I want to be careful. Astronomical events are not prophecy. The stars don't control the future. God does. But Scripture does speak of signs in the heavens. Luke 21:25 mentions signs in the sun, moon, and stars as part of the broader prophetic landscape. So what do we do with all this? Here's the application. Prophecy should never make you anxious. It should make you anchored. When Jesus described end times events to his disciples, he concluded with this in Luke 21:28. Now, when these things begin to happen, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption draws near. Look up, not down in despair, not around in panic, up, toward the one who is coming. The purpose of prophetic awareness isn't to make you an expert in timelines. It's to make you more like Jesus, more faithful, more prayerful, more urgent about what matters. Whether these developments lead to prophetic fulfillment in 2026 or in 2030 or in 2050, your calling remains the same. Love God, serve others, share the gospel, live with integrity, be ready. Let's bring this together. I promised you at the beginning that we would examine 7 specific 2026 developments through a biblical lens, and we've done that carefully, honestly, without hype or date setting. Here are 3 key takeaways to hold on to. First, the convergence is real and documented. This isn't speculation. Record Temple Mount visits, government engagement, 36 years of temple preparation, priestly training, political shifts, global awareness, all happening simultaneously. That's worth noting soberly. Second, Scripture calls us to watchfulness, not anxiety. Jesus said to discern the signs of the times. Paul said we're not in darkness. Peter said the day of the Lord will come like a thief, so we should live holy and godly lives. Watchfulness means paying attention while staying grounded in the Word, not being consumed by headlines. Third, whether prophetic events unfold in 2026 or not, our response stays the same. The red heifer search could continue for years. The might not be built for a generation. Christ could delay his return longer than any of us expect. But that doesn't change our calling. Faithful, watchful, hopeful, ready. As one Bible scholar wisely noted, for all we know, several more years or even a decade could go by. We hold timelines loosely. We hold Christ tightly. And here's the encouragement. 2026 reminds us that God keeps his word. The stage is being set, whether the curtain rises soon or later. The props are moving into place, and that should strengthen your faith, not shake it. Every promise God has made will be fulfilled. Not one word will fall to the ground void. Friend, if you made it this far, I want to leave you with something personal. God is not finished with you. Whatever the season holds for the world, whatever headlines come and go, his plans for your life are still unfolding. His faithfulness to you is unchanged. His presence with you is constant. The same God who set these prophetic wheels in motion millennia ago is the same God who watches over you today. He's not distant. He's not distracted. He's working all things according to his purposes, including the circumstances of your life. So watch 2026. Pay attention, be informed, but don't be consumed. The one we're watching for isn't a set of events. He's a person. And when he comes, whether we predicted his timing or not, the only thing that matters is whether we were faithfully serving when he arrived. If this study helped you, I'd be honored if you subscribe. We explore scripture together every week. No hype, no fear, just faithful teaching, rooted in the word and anchored in hope. Until next time, stay grounded, stay hopeful. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of your faith.